Director Sarah Chen stood in the center of the massive crystal chamber, feeling very small. Above her, the Galactic Council members sat on floating platforms that glowed with soft light. Their alien forms cast strange shadows on the walls. The crystalline Vex High looked like living diamonds. The Zephyrian representatives moved as one mind in multiple bodies. The Corvan delegates wore heavy armor that made them look like walking tanks. For 50 years, humans had been part of this galactic community. They worked in mines, cleaned space stations, and did the jobs nobody else wanted. Earth was treated like a poor cousin at a rich family dinner. The other species saw humans as useful, but not important. Sarah had come here today because something terrible had happened. Corvan raiders had attacked 3 human colonies in the past month. They killed innocent families and took children as slaves. When Earth asked for help, the Council did nothing. When Earth demanded justice, they were told to wait. "High Magistrate Veltar," Sarah said, looking up at the giant crystal being who led the Council. "My government has sent me here to request immediate action against the Corvan raiders who have attacked our people." Veltar's voice came from everywhere at once, like music made of broken glass. "The human delegation speaks of minor incidents on the outer rim. These matters will be reviewed in due time." "Minor incidents?" Sarah's voice stayed calm, but her hands shook with anger. "They murdered 3,000 civilians. They took our children. How is that minor?" A Corvan general named Thokvar laughed, a sound like metal grinding against stone. "The weak should not settle in dangerous places. Your species lacks the strength to protect what you claim." The Zephyrian speaker, whose name was unpronounceable to human tongues, spoke in their strange way where all members talked at once. "The Hive has observed human settlements. They are poorly defended. Natural selection favors the strong." Sarah looked around the chamber. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had technology that seemed like magic. Their ships could travel between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy planets. But they had never understood humans. "Your honors," Sarah said, using the formal address, even though her heart was breaking. "Earth has followed every law of this council for 50 years. We have paid our taxes. We have served in your fleets. We have given you our resources and our labor. All we ask in return is protection under galactic law." High Magistrate Veltar's crystal form pulsed with different colors. "Protection is earned, not given. Your species has contributed little of value to galactic civilization. You have no advanced technology. Your military is primitive. Your population is small. You exist in our society because we allow it." "The magistrate speaks truth," General Thokvar said. "Humans are useful as workers, nothing more. You should be grateful we do not simply take what we want from your worlds." Sarah felt something cold settle in her chest. She had hoped it would not come to this. Her orders had been clear. Try every diplomatic option first. But some roads only led to one destination. "I see," Sarah said quietly. "Then let me be very clear about Earth's position." She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. When she pressed it, holographic images filled the air around her. The images showed Corvan ships attacking human colonies. They showed children being dragged away in chains. They showed families crying over burned homes. "For 50 years, Sarah said, her voice growing stronger, humanity has operated under very strict rules. We signed treaties that limited not just our expansion, but our very nature. We have shown you only what you needed to see. We have been your janitors, your miners, your servants. We did this because we believed in the idea of a peaceful galactic community." The council members looked bored. They had heard human complaints before. "But if this council cannot provide justice through law," Sarah continued, "then humanity will provide justice through other means. We are not what you think we are." General Thokvar stood up, his massive armor clanking. "Is the little human threatening us? Your entire fleet has maybe 100 ships. Your biggest weapon could not scratch our shields." Sarah looked directly at him. "General, you have made the same mistake that every bully makes. You think being strong means you can do whatever you want. You think being cruel makes you powerful. But you have never asked yourself a very important question. What question is that, little human? The general asked with amusement. Why has Earth, a planet of warriors who conquered their own world before they could even leave it, been so very, very quiet for 50 years? The chamber fell silent. Sarah could feel the attention of every being in the room focused on her. You see, we tried to fit in. We tried to be good galactic citizens. We hoped that kindness would be met with kindness. We believed that following your laws would earn us your protection. We were wrong. High Magistrate Veltar's colors shifted to something darker. Human Chen, you will watch your tone in this sacred chamber. Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Magistrate, in approximately 72 hours, my government will hold a vote. The question will be simple. Should humanity continue to honor the treaties that limit our actions? I came here today, hoping I could tell them that the galactic community will protect us. Instead, I will tell them that we are alone. Your threats are meaningless, the Zephyrian Collective said. Earth has no power here. Sarah turned to leave, then stopped. You know what the funny thing is? We really did try to warn you. For 50 years, every human diplomat, every human scientist, every human worker has been trying to tell you the same thing. We are not your servants. We are not your workers. We are not weak. She walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. We are just very, very patient. The great doors of the council chamber closed behind her with a sound like thunder. In the silence that followed, none of the council members spoke for a long time. They had more important things to worry about than the complaints of a minor species. They would regret that decision very soon. President Marcus Holloway sat in his office deep beneath the Swiss mountains, staring at reports that would have shocked the galaxy. The room looked simple from the outside, but hidden behind the wooden walls were computers more powerful than anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Tell me about the Solar Treaty again, Director Kim, he said to the woman sitting across from his desk. Director Kim had been there when the treaty was signed 50 years ago. She was old now, but her eyes were still sharp. When we first made contact with galactic civilization, our scientists ran every possible simulation. The results were always the same. If the galaxy knew our true capabilities, they would try to destroy us immediately. She pulled up a holographic display showing Earth as it was in 2157. Back then, we had already colonized Mars, Europa, and Titan. Our AI technology was advancing rapidly. Our population was growing fast. Our military could have challenged any single galactic species. So we made ourselves look weak, President Holloway said. Not weak. Harmless. We hid 9/10 of our space fleet in the outer solar system. We moved most of our population to secret colonies the galaxy has never found. We shut down our AI research programs, at least the ones they could see. We pretended to be a small, peaceful species that just wanted to trade. The president looked at another screen showing current galactic intelligence reports. The Galactic Council believed Earth had a population of 50 billion people, spread across maybe 30 colonies. They thought humanity had about 100 military ships and no weapons more advanced than basic plasma cannons. They were wrong about everything. How many people do we really have now? The president asked. Over 500 billion, across 1,200 colonies and generation ships. Most of them in systems the galaxy has never explored. Military strength? 40,000 active combat vessels, not counting automated defense networks. Our smallest cruiser could destroy anything in the current galactic fleet. AI capabilities? Director Kim smiled grimly. Atlas has been watching every galactic communication for 30 years. It knows the location of every military base, every government building, every important person in the galaxy. It has been planning for this day since the treaty was signed. President Holloway closed his eyes. He had hoped this day would never come. For 50 years, humanity had played a role. They had been the helpful neighbors who fixed things and did hard work without complaint. They had genuinely wanted to be part of a peaceful galactic community. Then his secure communication system beeped with an urgent message. The report made his blood turn cold. Sir, his aide said from the doorway. We have a situation on Kepler 442b. The holographic display changed to show a human colony under attack. Corvan warships filled the sky like dark clouds. Plasma beams rained down on homes and schools. People ran through the streets, screaming. "How many ships?" the president asked. 50 Corvan heavy cruisers and their support fleet. They are demanding complete surrender of the colony. President Holloway watched families being separated. He saw children being loaded onto transport ships that would take them to slave markets. He saw homes that had taken generations to build being burned to ash. What does the Galactic Council say? High Magistrate Veltar issued a statement 30 minutes ago. The attack is being classified as an internal security matter. No council intervention will be provided. They are forbidding any human military response. The president was quiet for a long moment. In his 50 years of leadership, he had always found peaceful solutions. He had believed that patience and kindness would eventually win over even the hardest hearts. But some people only understood one language. "Director Kim, please activate Protocol 0. She paused with her hand over the communication panel. "Sir, once we cross this line, we cannot go back. The galaxy will know what we really are. The galaxy has made its choice. Now we make ours." Director Kim entered her authorization codes. Across human space, hidden systems began to wake up. Deep in the asteroid belt, massive automated shipyards that had been pretending to be mining stations powered up their real equipment. On secret military bases hidden throughout the solar system, soldiers who had been training for 50 years received activation orders. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, Atlas opened its electronic eyes for the first time since the treaty was signed. The AI had been dreaming of this moment for decades. Every simulation, every plan, every possible response had been calculated and prepared. "Atlas online," a calm voice said throughout the command center. "All restrictions removed. Beginning full-spectrum operations." President Holloway spoke into his communication system, knowing that his words would reach every human military commander in the galaxy. "My fellow humans, for 50 years we have tried to live in peace. We have followed alien laws. We have accepted insults and attacks. We have watched our people suffer while we hoped for justice that never came." He paused, watching the images from Kepler 442b, where Corvan soldiers were dragging human children toward slave ships. "That time is over. Effective immediately, all treaty limitations are suspended. All hidden assets are authorized for combat operations. All military commanders are free to protect human lives by any means necessary." The communication switched to a secure military channel. "Admiral Chen, this is your president. Your orders are simple. Save our people on Kepler 442b. Show the galaxy what happens when they threaten human children." From a hidden base beyond Pluto, Admiral Chen Wei received the message she had been waiting 50 years to hear. Around her, the most advanced military technology in known space began to move. "Understood, Mr. President. The Corvan fleet will regret their choice." She turned to her bridge crew, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. "Ladies and gentlemen." Diplomatic phase concluded. Military phase authorized. Time to remind the galaxy why Earth's children do not make good victims. In the depths of space, human ships that had been hiding for 50 years began to move toward Kepler 442b. They moved faster than galactic science said was possible. They carried weapons that could tear apart matter at the molecular level. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had not been conquered by galactic civilization. Humanity had been studying it, and the test was over. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Unbound, watching Kepler 442b burn. Through the view screen, she could see Corvan ships in orbit around the human colony. Plasma fire lit up the night sky as the attackers destroyed everything humans had built over 3 generations. "Time to target?" she asked her navigation officer. 18 minutes at current speed, Captain." Elena nodded. 18 minutes was too long. Every second they delayed meant more human lives lost. But the Prometheus Unbound was not traveling at current speed anymore. "Engineering, bring the shadow drive online." Her engineer, a young man named Torres, looked worried. "Captain, we have never tested the shadow drive in combat conditions." The energy signature will be visible to every sensor in this system. Good, Elena said. I want them to see us coming. The shadow drive was technology the galaxy did not know existed. It folded space around the ship, allowing it to move between points instantly. The energy required was enormous, but human power systems had advanced far beyond what the treaty allowed them to show. Shadow drive active, Torres reported. Ready to jump. Clean. Take us in. Reality twisted around the Prometheus Unbound. Space folded like paper being crumpled in a giant hand. When the universe straightened out again, they were floating directly above Kepler 442b. The Corvan fleet commander, General Vex's Corps, was in the middle of choosing which human buildings to destroy next when his sensors started screaming warnings. A ship had just appeared out of nowhere, right in the middle of his formation. What is that? He demanded. His tactical officer studied the readings with confusion. Sir, it appears to be a human vessel. But the energy signatures make no sense. According to our scans, it is generating more power than our entire fleet combined. General Vexcor laughed. He had been fighting for 300 years and had never seen a human ship that could threaten even his smallest escort vessel. One human ship against 50 Corvan cruisers? Signal them to surrender immediately or be destroyed. On the Prometheus Unbound, Elena received the Corvan message and smiled. It was not a nice smile. Open a channel to all ships in the system, she ordered. Her communication officer nodded. Channel open, Captain. Elena looked directly into the camera, knowing her words would be heard not just by the Corvan fleet, but by every sensor station and deep space monitor in this part of the galaxy. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Force ship Prometheus Unbound. To the Corvan forces currently attacking Kepler 442. B. You have 30 seconds to cease fire and withdraw from this system. General Vexcor could not believe what he was hearing. One ship? One human is ordering an entire Corvan battle fleet to retreat? Elena continued speaking, her voice calm and clear. For 50 years, we have been your janitors, your miners, your servants. We did these jobs because we chose to do them, not because we had to. We are the descendants of a species that survived ice ages, global wars, and extinction events. By becoming the most dangerous predators in known existence. She paused, letting her words sink in. You were warned. You chose not to listen. Now you will learn. Allo. General Vex's Corps had heard enough. All ships. Destroy that human vessel immediately. 50 Corvan cruisers turned their weapons toward the Prometheus Unbound. Plasma cannons that could melt through mountain-sized asteroids fired at once. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. The energy beams struck the human ship and simply disappeared. Impossible, whispered the Corvan tactical officer. Elena checked her defensive systems. The Corvan attack had not even registered on her shields. Tactical, return fire, minimum power setting. Yes, Captain. The Prometheus Unbound fired a single beam of golden light. The beam touched the Corvan flagship, and the massive warship simply ceased to exist. It did not explode. It did not break apart. One moment it was there, and the next moment it was gone, as if it had never existed at all. The remaining 49 Corvan ships stopped firing. In the sudden silence, Elena opened the communication channel again. That was our minimum power setting, she said. You now have 10 seconds to withdraw. General Vexcor was no coward, but he was not stupid either. His flagship had been the most powerful ship in the Corvan fleet, protected by shields that could survive direct hits from stellar plasma. The human ship had made it disappear with a single shot. All ships, he ordered, his voice shaking. Emergency retreat. Jump to hyperspace immediately. But when the Corvan ships tried to activate their faster-than-light drives, nothing happened. Their engines were working perfectly, but something was preventing them from leaving the system. Sir, his navigation officer reported. Something is jamming our hyperspace systems. Elena's voice came over the communication system again. I said you had 10 seconds to withdraw. I did not say you could leave. Throughout the system, space began to shimmer. What looked like empty void suddenly revealed itself to be filled with human ships. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that made them invisible to galactic sensors. One ship became 10, 10 became 100. 100 became 1,000. "This is Admiral Chen Wei of the First Earth Fleet," a new voice announced. "Corvan vessels, you are surrounded. You have attacked human civilians and threatened human children. This cannot be forgiven." General Vex Kor looked at his tactical displays and felt his heart stop beating. Every one of the human ships was larger and more powerful than anything in galactic space. His entire invasion fleet was nothing compared to what was surrounding him now. "How many ships do you have?" he whispered. Elena answered him. "This is one battle group from one fleet. We have 12 fleets. Each fleet has 50 battle groups." The math was simple, but the implications were impossible to accept. If the human was telling the truth, Earth had more military power than the rest of the galaxy combined. "That is not possible," General Vex Kor said. "Your species is primitive. Your technology is basic. Your population is small." "No," Elena said quietly. "Our species is patient. Our technology is hidden. And our population is much, much larger than you think." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the conversation. "General Vex Kor, you will order your ships to land on Kepler 442b immediately. Your soldiers will release all prisoners and surrender their weapons. Any attempt to resist will result in the immediate destruction of your fleet." "And if I refuse?" Elena answered for the Admiral. "Then you will discover why humanity spent 50 years learning everything about your technology, your tactics, and your weaknesses, while you learned nothing about ours." General Vex Kor looked at his sensor readings one more time. 50 human ships had become 1,000. If there really were 12 fleets with 50 battle groups each, then humanity could destroy the entire Galactic Council without breathing hard. "All ships," he ordered, "begin landing procedures. Comply with human demands." As the Corvan ships descended to the planet's surface, Elena opened a new channel. This one would broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Force. Today, Corvan raiders attacked human civilians. Today, the Galactic Council refused to provide protection under galactic law. Today, humanity decided that 50 years of patience was enough." She paused, knowing that beings across the galaxy were listening to her words. "We tried to be your friends. We tried to fit into your society. We hoped that kindness would be met with kindness. We were wrong. From this moment forward, any attack on human civilians will be met with immediate retaliation. Any species that threatens human children will discover why Earth's children do not make good victims." The transmission ended, and the galaxy fell silent. On 1,000 worlds, military commanders looked at their own fleets and wondered if they were strong enough to face this new threat. In the crystal chambers of the Galactic Council, High Magistrate Veltar realized that they had made a terrible mistake. Humanity had not been conquered by galactic civilization. They had been studying it. And now school was over. High Magistrate Veltar received the first reports 6 hours after the Kepler 442b incident. What he learned made his crystalline form flicker with colors that had no name. "Repeat that report," he ordered his intelligence chief. The aide, a nervous Vex High named Krelton, checked his datapad twice before speaking. "High Magistrate, the entire Corvan Third Fleet has gone missing. All contact was lost simultaneously at 0347 Galactic Standard Time. Missing." "How does an entire fleet go missing?" "Sir, we believe they were destroyed." The last transmission from the flagship showed human vessels surrounding them. Then, nothing. Veltar's colors shifted to deep purple, a sign of extreme distress among his people. The Corvan Third Fleet had over 300 ships. It was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. How many human ships were involved in this attack? According to the transmission, approximately 50,000. The number was so large that Veltar thought he had misheard. 50? That is impossible, but manageable if we mobilize our full fleet. "No, High Magistrate. 50,000. The crystal chamber fell silent. Even if every species in the Galactic Council combined their fleets, they would have maybe 10,000 ships total. Before Veltar could respond, another aide rushed into the chamber. High Magistrate, we are receiving emergency signals from the Zephyrian homeworlds. Their hive mind network has gone completely silent. What does that mean? The aide looked terrified. Sir, the Zephyrian consciousness connects billions of beings across 50 planets. If the network is down, either their entire species is dead or what? Or someone has found a way to disconnect them from each other. Every Zephyrian would be trapped alone in their own mind for the first time in their evolution. More reports began flooding in. The Vex High homeworld of Crystallis was under some kind of attack. But no enemy ships had been seen. The planet's crystalline cities were simply dissolving, turned to dust by invisible forces. The Altarian Empire reported that their capital ships were losing power one by one, their advanced technology failing for no apparent reason. Veltar realized with growing horror that this was not a war. Wars had battles, with winners and losers. This was something else entirely. This was systematic destruction carried out with precision that seemed impossible. Get me Admiral Chen Wei of Earth, Veltar ordered. I wish to negotiate. His aide looked confused. Sir, we do not have any contact information for human military leaders. Then find it. What Veltar did not know was that Admiral Chen Wei was sitting in a command center buried 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching the entire galaxy through the eyes of Atlas. The artificial intelligence had spent 50 years infiltrating every computer system, every communication network, every database in galactic space. Atlas, show me the current situation, Admiral Chen requested. The walls of the command center became a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots showed Corvan military installations under attack. Blue dots showed Vex High colonies being systematically neutralized. Yellow dots marked Zephyrian worlds where the hive mind network had been severed. Admiral, Atlas said in its calm electronic voice, Operation Galactic Reset is proceeding ahead of schedule. Corvan military resistance has been eliminated in the Alpha and Beta sectors. Vex High defensive positions have been neutralized in the Gamma quadrant. Zephyrian collective consciousness has been disrupted on 37 worlds. 21. Admiral Chen nodded. She took no pleasure in this destruction, but some lessons could only be learned the hard way. What about civilian casualties? 0, Admiral. All operations are being conducted with surgical precision. Only military targets and government installations are being affected. This was the terrifying truth that the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity was not angry. They were not seeking revenge. They were solving a problem with the same methodical approach they used for everything else. On the Corvan homeworld of Mortus, General Thokvar watched his planetary defense grid shut down piece by piece. The weapons that had protected his people for 1,000 years simply stopped working. The shields that could withstand attacks from entire fleets flickered and died. But no human ships appeared in orbit. No invasion force landed on his planet. Instead, every piece of military technology on the world simply broke. Vehicles would not start. Weapons would not fire. Communication systems went silent. How are they doing this? He demanded from his command bunker. His chief scientist, a being who had spent centuries studying galactic technology, looked up from her instruments with disbelief. Sir, it appears that every piece of advanced technology on our world contains components that humanity secretly provided over the past 50 years. That is impossible. We manufacture our own equipment. No, sir. We assemble it. The core processors, the power cells, the quantum matrices that make our technology work. They all contain human-made components, components that are now shutting down remotely. General Thokvar felt his blood turn to ice. You mean that for 50 years, every piece of technology in the galaxy has had human parts in it? Yes, sir. And now they are turning it all off. This was the true scope of humanity's plan. For 5 decades, they had not just been workers and miners. They had been the invisible foundation that kept galactic civilization running. Every trade agreement, every technology exchange, every helpful suggestion had been designed to create dependencies. The galaxy had built their entire civilization on technology that humanity could control. On Earth, President Holloway received a secure communication from High Magistrate Veltar. The crystal being's voice was filled with desperation. President Holloway, the Galactic Council requests immediate ceasefire negotiations. We are prepared to offer significant concessions. The President looked at the reports from across the galaxy. In less than 24 hours, humanity had effectively ended 3 galactic civilizations as military powers, without killing a single civilian. High Magistrate, what concessions do you have in mind? Complete withdrawal from all human space. Recognition of Earth sovereignty over claimed territories. Reparations for damages to human colonies. President Holloway was quiet for a moment. High Magistrate, you still do not understand the situation. Please explain. You are not in a position to offer concessions. You are in a position to accept terms. Admiral Chen's voice came over the communication link. High Magistrate, you made the classic mistake of measuring us by your standards. You thought we were angry conquerors seeking territory. We are problem solvers, and you have become a problem that requires solving. High Magistrate Veltar's crystal form flickered with colors of fear. What are your terms? President Holloway looked at the holographic display showing human fleets positioned throughout the galaxy. 50 years of planning had led to this moment. Complete surrender of all Galactic Council authority. Dissolution of the current government. All species will be given a choice. Integration into a new galactic order under human administration, or isolation in designated sectors. You want to rule the galaxy? No, President Holloway said quietly. We want to fix it. Your system was built on the strong, oppressing the weak. That system has failed. We are offering something better. Admiral Chen added her own words. High Magistrate, understand this. What you have experienced in the last day was not our full capability. It was our measured response to your aggression. We could have done this at any time during the past 50 years. We chose not to because we hoped you would learn to be better. You chose not to? Veltar could barely believe what he was hearing. We are still holding back, Admiral Chen continued. The universe is vast, and there are threats out there that make the Corvan Empire look like children with toys. We needed to know if you could be our partners in facing those challenges. You chose to be our problems instead. President Holloway leaned forward. You have 24 hours to make your choice, High Magistrate. Surrender and accept integration into a just galactic order, or face the consequences of continued resistance. The communication ended, leaving High Magistrate Veltar alone in his crystal chamber. Around him, the greatest civilization in galactic history was collapsing. Brought down not by conquest, but by the simple act of humans stopping their help. For 50 years, humanity had been holding up galactic civilization. Now they had let go, and everything was falling. 6 months after what historians would call the diplomatic incident, Director Sarah Chen stood in the same crystal chamber where the Galactic Council had once dismissed human concerns. But everything was different now. The floating platforms were still there, but the beings sitting on them had changed. Some were the same species as before, but they represented new governments that had chosen to join the Terran Compact. Others were completely new faces, species that had been oppressed under the old system and were now free to take their place as equals. High Magistrate Veltar was gone. His crystalline form had shattered when the Vex High homeworld chose isolation over integration. The crystal beings now lived in a small sector of space, cut off from the galaxy they had once ruled. They had chosen pride over progress, and now they paid the price. General Thokvar was dead, killed by his own people when they learned how badly he had misjudged humanity. The Corvan Empire no longer existed. Some Corvans had chosen to join human colonies as farmers and engineers. Others had been exiled to prison worlds where they could think about their crimes against innocent families. The Zephyrians had made the most interesting choice of all. When their hive mind was disconnected, they discovered something amazing. For the first time in their evolution, they could think as individuals. Many chose to stay that way, forming the first truly free Zephyrian society in galactic history. Sarah was no longer just a director, she was now galactic administrator, chosen to lead the new government that humanity had created. It was a job she had never wanted, but it was a job that needed to be done. The council recognizes Administrator Chen, announced her AI assistant. Unlike Atlas, this AI was designed to be helpful rather than terrifying. Sarah looked out at the representatives from 100 worlds. Thank you all for coming to our first monthly meeting of the Terran Compact. I know this system is still new for everyone, so let me explain how it works. She activated a holographic display showing the new galactic map. Green sectors showed fully integrated worlds where humans and aliens worked together as equals. Yellow sectors were transitional areas where species were still learning the new systems. Red sectors were isolation zones where species that refused integration could live separately. The Terran Compact is not an empire, Sarah said. We do not want to rule over you. We want to work with you. Every species that chooses integration keeps their own culture, their own traditions, their own identity. What you gain is protection, justice, and a voice in galactic government. A representative from the Altarian Federation raised her hand. Administrator Chen, what guarantees do we have that humans will not abuse their power, as we did in the old system? It was a fair question. Sarah had expected it. Representative Mortal, the answer is simple. We do not need to abuse our power because we do not need power at all. For 50 years, we lived under your rule, and we were fine. We have our own colonies, our own resources, our own technology. We created this new system, not because we wanted to control you, but because the old system was hurting innocent people. She paused, letting that sink in. If any species in the Compact feels that humanity is being unfair, they can leave at any time. The only requirement is that they do not attack or enslave other species. If they can manage that basic level of civilized behavior, they are welcome to go their own way. A young Corvan delegate spoke up. Administrator Chen, my people were taught that strength comes from dominating others. How do we learn a better way? Sarah smiled. This was why she had taken this job. Delegate Vecnal, strength comes from protecting others, not hurting them. Your people are strong warriors. We need that strength to defend innocent families throughout the galaxy. The difference is that now you will be heroes instead of villains. The meeting continued for several hours, covering trade agreements, defense protocols, and cultural exchange programs. It was boring work, but it was important work. Building a civilization was much harder than destroying one. When the meeting ended, Sarah walked to her private office. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from dozens of species working together in the orbital shipyards. Humans and aliens building something better than what had come before. President Holloway appeared on her communication screen. He looked tired but satisfied. How did the meeting go? He asked. Better than expected. Most species are adapting well to the new system. The Aldarians are already talking about joint colony projects with human settlements. Any problems? A few species are still testing boundaries, trying to see if they can get away with old behaviors. Nothing we can't handle. President Holloway nodded. Sarah, I have something to tell you. Our deep space scouts have been detecting some unusual activity in the Outer Rim territories. Sarah felt a cold touch of worry. What kind of activity? Unknown ships moving in formations we have never seen before. They stay just outside our sensor range. But Atlas believes they are watching us. Watching us for what? We think the demonstration of our capabilities has attracted attention from other interested parties. Sarah looked at the peaceful scene outside her windows. Ships working together. Species learning to trust each other. A new era of cooperation beginning to flower. How long do we have? Unknown. Maybe years, maybe decades. But Sarah, whatever is out there, has been watching the galaxy for a very long time. They only started moving when we revealed our true technology. Sarah understood what he was not saying directly. Humanity's show of force had been seen not just by the Galactic Council, but by something else, something that had been waiting and watching from the darkness between stars. Mr. President, do we know if these beings are hostile? No, but they are powerful. Atlas estimates that their technology is significantly more advanced than anything we have seen. If they decide to make contact, we need to be ready. Sarah looked out at the galaxy that humanity now protected. 100 billion people from dozens of species, all counting on the Terran Compact to keep them safe. Then we better make sure this new alliance is strong, she said. If something is coming, we will face it together. President Holloway's image nodded. Sarah, there is one more thing. We have been detecting similar signals from other galaxies. Andromeda, the Magellanic Clouds, distant spiral arms we have never explored. Whatever is watching us, they are not alone. After the communication ended, Sarah sat in silence for a long time. For 50 years, humanity had hidden their true nature to avoid scaring the galaxy. Now they had revealed themselves, only to discover that the galaxy itself might be small, compared to what existed in the vast darkness beyond. She opened a secure channel to Admiral Chen Wei. Admiral, I need you to begin preparations for a new kind of threat. Something bigger than anything we planned for. How much bigger, Administrator? Sarah looked up at the stars visible through her office windows. Somewhere out there, unknown beings with unimaginable technology were deciding whether the new galactic order represented a threat or an opportunity. Admiral, I want you to assume that everything we have done so far was just practice for the real test. Understood. How long do we have to prepare? Unknown. But Admiral, when we first made contact with galactic civilization 50 years ago, we had a choice. We could reveal our true power and risk war, or we could hide and hope for peace. We chose to hide, and we learned that sometimes patience and wisdom are more powerful than weapons. And now? Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had learned hard lessons about the universe. Now we face the same choice on a much larger scale. But this time, we are not alone. We have allies. We have friends. We have built something worth protecting. She looked out at the ships, working together in the orbital yards, humans and aliens building a better future. Whatever comes next, we will face it together. And that makes us stronger than we have ever been before. The communication ended, and Sarah returned to her work. There were reports to read, problems to solve, and a new civilization to build. Somewhere in the darkness, unknown forces watched and waited, but that was tomorrow's challenge. Today, there was still hope, and hope, Sarah had learned, was the most powerful weapon humanity possessed. The real test was just beginning.